Say what you want about this current commander-in-chief. You can like him, you can not like him, you can loathe him, you can hate him, you can love him, you can have somewhere in between where you regard him. But what he does not lack is courage. He absolutely possesses a tremendous amount of moral clarity and moral courage in the face of massive opposition, and most of the opposition that he faces is just an ad hominem attack by a ideology that really doesn't possess a lot of courage. And I'm speaking on the political spectrum of things. When you look at leftists and Democrats and communists and people that hold to that ideology, they really don't have a moral or principled foundation in my estimation. And why is this? Because they want to do everything that makes them as individuals look good and be liked, but they don't want to make the tough calls. Most people don't lack courage. They avoid it in a moment that requires it. It's one of my points in all of this. You look at Iran. We're going to talk about Iran quite a bit because it's the ongoing current event. It's the ongoing current conflict. And this has been going on for the better part of 50 years, dating back to the early 70s. And it's been a problem, and everything that's hostile in the world, everything that has terrorism attached to it as some kind of a label in the world, has emanated from Iran. And our past administrations haven't been doing a lot in order to address it. They pay a lot of lip service. Obama wants to take credit for everything. A guy like Barack Obama, his problem is he just wants to be given all of the credit for all of the things that he thinks he's done for this nation, but he doesn't want to take any of the responsibility for some of those shortfalls that he has. And he has plenty. We all have shortfalls. And we all have things where we don't totally measure up all of the time. But when you are charged, or when you elect to go and serve the nation in its highest office, you assume a lot of responsibilities. And that's where I think left of the aisle, that's one of their bigger deficiencies. They want to be liked. In layman's terms, they want to be liked. They don't want to be respected. They don't want to make hard decisions. They want to be liked. This current president doesn't care. Obviously, he is who he is, and he makes hard decisions because in the times that require courage, he steps up. Okay? Stoicism isn't about being emotionless. It's about mastering your fear. Everybody has fears. Everybody has the fear of doing something new, starting something, or going into an environment that is uncomfortable to them for whatever reason. Everybody has fear. And it's not about going into something and being deadpan and emotionless and kind of powering through it. It's about mastering those fears, conquering those fears, and setting them aside for a larger goal or a larger desired end state or whatever the desired end state is in your life. If you can get over those fears, you'll find that you can do quite a bit. And you can start with little things. And I'm going to get to a point here at the bottom of the video, and I think it'll kind of tie all this up. Fear of judgment, fear of loss, and fear of failure are probably the three things that keep people from ever putting one foot in front of the other when it comes to actually stepping outside of their comfort zone. They fear of losing something. They fear of being judged by their peers who probably themselves aren't any different than they are in terms of those innate fears that we all have, that we all share. The difference being is that when you do take that step, you find that in most cases that fear was unfounded. Fear loses power when you strip it down to facts. So when you look at, I'll use my painting as an example. I was really hesitant years ago to want to get into painting, to take on painting. Although I've watched a lot of painters over the years, Bob Ross is probably one of the biggest inspirations for a lot of people that oil paint. Certainly one of mine. And I remember watching this guy thinking, man, he makes it look easy. Man, I wish I could do that. If I only had some time. Or maybe one of these days I'll just go and, get a starter kit and try it out. And that's what I would tell myself over and over and over for a long time. And then finally one day I just said, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to try it. I'm not planning to be wildly successful with it. I just want to say I did it. I took that step and I did it. And then I've continued to do it. And as I continue to do it, I get a little bit better and a little bit better and a little bit better. This is what you do. You take that fear and you dismiss it and you just say, the hell with it. I'm just going to go for it. It's really not that complicated, honestly. And this applies to many areas in your life. You know, where you have a fear or where you have some kind of a reluctance to do something, ask yourself why, and then ask yourself, what's the worst thing that can happen if you cross the threshold? Do the hard things on purpose. Okay, this is the point. Do the hard things on purpose, like take a cold shower, or take up a physical challenge, you know, go run a 5K or whatever, and have difficult conversations. And you'll find as you do these things, they act as little stepping stones to do the next thing. The cold shower one's great. It's very unpleasant to get up in the morning, especially when it's cold outside, and turn that water mixer on the shower to cold and then step into it. It is a shock to the system, but it wakes you up, gets the adrenaline going, and it bumps up your metabolism a little bit, and it really sets the tone for the day. I'm a big fan of them. I don't do them all of the time, but every once in a while, especially in the spring, I'll start doing them more often because it really does set the tone. And there's a fear when you reach under that stream of water and it's tap water cold, everything in your brain is telling you, I'm not getting in that. I don't want to get in there. I'm not going to do this, but you do it. You step in, and that initial shock damn near takes your breath away. And then when you're in there for a couple minutes, you're like, yeah, you know, this isn't so bad. And you do your thing, wash up, rinse off, and come out, and you feel pretty fantastic. You're cold. You can feel it on your skin. But then you get dressed, and you go about your day, and it doesn't kill you. Right? It's not that bad. And then that sets the tone for the rest of your day. So try those things. Or go do a physical challenge. You know, like I've done and I like to do is I look at these 5Ks that pop up, especially, you know, this time of year and later into the summer, and I'll say, okay, I'm going to go do this 5K. I don't expect to be the fastest guy out there, but I expect to finish. And then I can say, yeah, you know what? I did it. It was great. I feel good, right? Okay. You get the idea. All right. Avoidance strengthens fear. I think you're going to find that. I think if you avoid things, it'll strengthen your fear. It'll allow that fear to take over and take on a life of its own. The more you avoid certain things like this. You know, I'm keeping this really simple and really fundamental because there's really no need for me to get really esoteric and kind of out there. And it's just, you know, if you do things that you don't want to do, you'll find that you can do them. And they aren't as bad as you think. You know, again, I always talk about this on this channel. You guys know this. It's foundational to who I am. Recruit training, 19-year-old kid, coming out of high school, going down to San Diego, California, stepping on the yellow footprints. So there's a lot of fear and a lot of unknown involved with that because you're going from your comfortable, normal, you know, lifestyle that you have had up until that point and entering something completely foreign and completely overwhelming and completely shocking, to be perfectly honest. And then you kind of get in the rhythm, at least in receiving company, and then you get dropped to your training company, and then it's a whole different thing altogether. And then when you get to the end of it, you're like, wow, I can't believe I did it. I can't believe I conquered that fear. You see what I'm saying? Okay, so think about these things. This is all part of the Stoicism, courage. It's a big part of it. That's actually probably one of the more fundamental pieces of all of this. And the obstacle is the way. So if you see an obstacle, that's the way you should go. You know, that's kind of a military mindset, at least a Marine mindset. If we see an obstacle, we're going through it. We're going to get through it somehow. We're going to go over it. We're going to go under it. We're going to go around it, or we're going to go straight through it. That's the mindset you should have in pretty much anything in life. Find something that you're not comfortable with. Find something that gives you anxiety and attack it. All right, let's talk more. See you guys soon.